In the 90s, Playmates toys made the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. It is now officially, because I was wrong last time, officially our first episode of 2013. Happy, slightly belated New Year
Keith.
to every...
I mean, come on, buddy.
Oh, God.
The resolution was that we're going to
2023.
really be much more professional this year. So,
Yeah, why do we keep saying 2013?
although 2013 was an okay year. We were 23 years old.
No, we were 33 years old. Both of us are so desperately trying to delete 10 years, but we can't. We have to face it. Wow. Whew.
Good start,
Yeah.
buddy. Great start to the new year. But Keith, you know what else will be a great start to the new year? Custom toys. Some of our favorite things to talk about. We went as far as to wear the same clothing as last week so we could continue this 2023 series of costumes.
Yeah,
Customs.
and that's what we did. We made sure to get everything exactly the same. It's not like we just recorded them back to back.
No. Which
No,
would
we
explain
never
why we're both still having a stroke.
Well, we've been having a stroke for about 100 episodes
Yeah.
at this point. So anyway, you want to know who is exhibiting a stroke of genius?
Who's that?
That's our patrons, which you can join at patreon.com/K&M and support this show and get bonus episodes of all sorts of different things. We do bonus reviews of other Star Trek shows where we actually sit there and watch it with you and make stupid comments. And, the animated series, we did some Next Generation things. We have a Mike watch Deep Space Nine. You can actually watch him watch the show before we do our reviews on Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. We have bonus boxings. We have AMAs. You can see some of my unpublished Star Trek graphic novel, all sorts of crazy fun stuff. And Mike, who's getting all of that amazing bonus content?
Oh, you thought it was haphazard before. Wait till 2023 when it's organized and scheduled. The patrons are just going to have quite a year. We thank them: Brian Kaufman, Casey Clark, Cloudlover69, Jason Moe, Andrew Hayes, Show Me Those Toonies, Jorge Navoa, and the mysterious Ann, Worf's Boot, Shivs, CRM Productions, Charles Babbage at Grim_Toys, Delusions at Noon, Eric Wilson. Join the team, patreon.com/K&M.
Yeah, you can check it out there, along with our other shows. But I think, with no further ado, we have some amazing figures to take a look at that I'm very excited about. Mike is resizing himself.
I don't like the
He's so
flicker, Keith.
excited.
Now you've maybe self-conscious about the flicker. Let's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah, he's just too lazy to put up his green screen.
It's true.
All right, so first up, we have from our good friend JD at JD's Customs. You can also, there's a link down below, and check out his incredible other YouTube series where he does all sorts of fun stuff with reviews and customs. Lots of fun stuff. Check it out. But what do we have here? We have another figure that Mike can tell us all about because we have seen him on Deep Space.
We have.
Nine.
We have seen him, and I want you to see me, Keith. It's important to me that we all watch this together. So, we're going to do it live.
Professionalism.
Oh,
Yes.
man. I really thought I was ready.
Mike was not ready.
No, I wasn't. So, yeah, this is Lee Nollis, who was this guy, right, Keith? Stay with me. Follow me here. He was
Okay.
this guy who had a legend because he was like a great war hero, right?
Mhm.
But you know what, Keith? Every man has a story, but then there's a real man behind the story, Keith.
Mm.
And we had a whole arc where we learned about the real story behind Lee Nollis and his insecurities, and he might have had to earn his hero status in real time.
Yeah. In real time on a siege of Deep Space Nine, there was a coup. And they tried to take over. When has that ever happened? That's
Nope.
crazy.
Hey, at least there was accountability on Star Trek.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Anyway, so let's talk about this figure once again. And we talked about it last week, and I've talked about it a lot. JD's ability to sculpt on top of existing figures, I think, is incredibly remarkable. I until I see the code that we're gonna show that how he created this figure, I would not have any idea what he started with here, how he adapted this to make the Bajoran government uniform there, the gray, which I don't think was the most exciting costume design, but it looks great on the figure like this. Also the actor who plays Lee Nollis, for us musical theater nerds, was the original Tony in the West Side Story movie from way back in the 50s, not the current Spielberg one. So lots of history here. Mike, let's find out how JD made this figure.
Let's do so. Indeed.
Okay. All right. So let's break this down. So it's a Bareil head, which is really smart because he's already got the Bajoran nose. Obviously, a repaint and rebuild of his hair to give it that Nollis poof that we're looking for.
Is that second figure that guy from that episode? No, it can't be. He looks like that dude. What was the episode we just saw recently where they went off to that outside planet and there was that lady who was protecting them from the technology?
Oh, yeah, Paradise.
Yeah, the muscly guy, like shirtless muscly guy. Doesn't he look like one of her concubines?
Like the Robin Hood guy.
Yeah.
No. It does sort of look like that, but it's actually Pirate Chakotay. So this is from Voyager when he was in the Maquis. This figure, I haven't shown it to you yet on the show. The paint job on that figure, the weird pirate stripes, which were much more subtle on screen, make him look ridiculous. But nonetheless, so started off with the body from the Chakotay figure, which makes a lot of sense because he's got sort of the tunic-y feel there. With arms from Picard, which the standard duty uniform Picard, not the Picardigan Picard, and then molded that all together. That's great. So in order to do this, he had to mold the sort of like tunic-y or the shoulder thingies over, complete the Chakotay's tunic there, and then do the full repaint. That's so cool.
It's really cool.
That's really impressive.
Now, Keith, he sent us a video, but I don't think I got this one either.
You 100% did. He called it Navark because that was Lee Nollis's sort of invented title on the show. There it is. So, and JD, I think we have the exact same spinner.
Yeah, well,
the same turntable.
I think they only make one on Amazon. It's just about 47 different Japanese companies or Chinese companies that make them.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've had to have two already because mine keeps dying. But
does it really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, you got to charge it anyway. Yeah. So thank you for sending all that information. The legend of Lee Nollis has now been immortalized with a figure. Really excellent work as always. I'll remind you to go check out JD's stuff on YouTube, but we still have one more figure from JD to show you, which I'm excited to talk about. And this figure does not even have a name. I don't think it was ever given a name in canon. This is the abducting alien from the Next Generation episode Allegiance, which was season 3, episode 18. And look at that figure, Mike.
That is cool as hell.
How did
he do? Oh, we'll get there, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
That face is crazy. That's a great sculpt.
It's an amazing sculpt, and there's nothing like that in the Playmates line. So I think JD had to really do a ton of sculpting to get that. Because again, Star Trek does this sometimes, right? We have so many sort of lazy aliens with just a little goop-a-doop and like, oh, you're from another galaxy. And then you have amazing creature design like this, which are used for 3 minutes of one episode and we never see it again.
Yeah, sometimes in the background even.
Yeah.
Look at that. That nostrils, man, that guy, he finds your odor offensive.
That is 100% true and fair. I have to take criticism where it's due. But look at that. The paint job is
The suit,
spectacular.
yeah, the coloring, it's really great.
That whole thing. How did he make it? Mike, show us how he made it, because I'm so curious. Okay, so it's just the Horgon, not the Horgon, the Vorgon, whatever it was from that silly episode on Ryza. So he molded on top of that. So that head sculpt is literally just hand sculpted on top of that other alien, which is a completely different face.
JD, what I would be interested in, let's go another step deeper in the onion. So I love that you've started to show us how you've made the soup. But now I'm curious about your inspiration. Do you think I want to make this figure, and then you sort through all of the figures to pick it, to mix and match your pieces? Or are you looking at different things, like were you looking at this alien and left and like, hey, you know what I could do with that? I could make the so-and-so. Or maybe it's a little bit of both. I'm curious how you get the artistic inspiration for wanting to do these.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I imagine, you're watching through the episodes, like, that's a really cool thing that there's no figure, and then you have a chance there. Anyway, so it's a really good idea to use that as the beginning. However, there's some challenges too, because you've got to sculpt Phil in, because he's our blue guy there is just like in a hot bodysuit there. I think that guy lifts. I'm just saying.
Well, it's a material question too, because in my brain, you just grab some clay or molding or whatever and just like plop it over the thing. But since you got to put another outfit over an outfit, and it doesn't appear as though you're sanding down, I'm not seeing that in the workflow. It's hard to know. I
bet he is some,
right, because it would be so bulky otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a combination of the two.
Interesting.
All of which, because the the original one, he's got those like weird arm shutters that you have to sort of fill in, and the chest shutters, and smoothing all of that out. So I bet that's a combination of sanding and layering. And then that particular paint, that sort of mixed metallic paint, I wouldn't even begin to know how to do that, because it's obviously you're mixing two colors, but they're both sort of metallic and reflective, and being able to get that and then hit it with the purple on top of that. Well, I don't know.
Well, Keith, you know what they say. We've always said, those who can't, podcast.
Those who can't talk about it on the internet in, wildly uninteresting ways. Let's see the video here with the full spin. Yeah. So he had to like sort out the back as well. That is really cool. And you're right. There's got to be sanding, because otherwise it would be way bulkier.
You would think.
Because it's not bulky.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he's jacked, but so's the actor.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect, and the detail on the ears,
even the back of the head too. Yeah, the whole, that's just,
the paint
it's
job,
really
and
cool.
The paint job and the back of the head. That's so cool. That's so cool. Hats off.
Keith, do I see yes, JD, as always, amazing work. We take you for granted, but we don't, if that makes any sense. Keith, I'm excited for this next little series, because we get to feature patron work.
That's right. So our next one. So we've done a lot of figures, but some of the things that we've really enjoyed doing are showing some of the photography, and people showing stuff. The figures in the wild are coming up with creative ways to shoot it with perspective and scale. And this is from our patron Ben at Grim_toys. Check this out. I pulled everything out so we could see it all.
Wow.
Look at that photo of Scotty and McCoy. He says, I saw you put out a call for photos of Playmates toys, so I've attached a photo that I recently took for my Instagram. He said he's noticed that aquarium supplies make for great otherworldly settings. Ben at Grim_toys. Go see his other work at Grim with 2 M's _toys. It's on the screen. Yeah, just look at the screen. Don't listen to me. Okay, let's break this down.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is obviously set in an aquarium, and he's got the sort of the aquarium toys there with the blue pebbles. He's got some sort of a scrim backdrop going on there. But I just want
Maybe,
to call.
or it could be a top light. You know what I mean? That could be, because I think my fish tank has an LED top light, colorful, so it could be
Yeah, but it's got the smooth because we
the depth of
I don't know, it's
field.
got some sort of background there. So let's just talk about from the photography point of view, because uh the creativity of creating this background, but the incredible photography work, getting that shallow depth of focus,
Mhm.
and getting the colors exactly right. It's just an excellent photograph.
Great photograph.
Independent of the using the figures and the setup there. You really, again, playing with scale,
Mhm.
you wouldn't be able to tell that they're tiny figures. It's just excellent work.
It's
I mean,
actually blowing my mind because so I have a really like a 10-gallon fish tank behind me for this betta fish I had, which passed away, and I passed away. The fish died, and rather than get a new fish, I've just kind of letting it sit there and cycle. And I was like, well, I'm maybe going to make just like a plant tank with
mhm.
some nice like colorful stuff. And I'm thinking, I'm looking over at my shelf of Star Trek figures, and I'm thinking that would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Playmates should use this as a selling point, because it looks fantastic. Like, this makes me want to buy the whole thing.
Hmm.
Uh, so I mean,
Well, those little toys and some gravel. I mean, this photograph probably cost like $5.
yeah. This is like you go to your pet store.
Hmm.
You can do this. However, the camera he used for this was not $5. I'll
No,
tell you that
I
much.
imagine not. Yeah.
Because of it's just and clearly going in there and doing your Photoshop work.
Well, it's
Uh,
telling a story, right? Like he's got it's an away team, but we've rule of thirds. We've got our focus on the upper right, but also we've got the foreground is well focused, but that soft depth of field. You could you can do this with an iPhone. It'll fake it pretty well, but it's not perfect yet. So this seems like it's done with the camera.
this was done some
yeah.
real professional work. Ben, that's fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for sending that. Send more, and if you are doing stuff like this, send it too. I find these incredibly fun and exciting, and like, is this going to end up as my as my wallpaper on my computer? I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. It's none of your business. Uh, so, really, really fantastic work. All right. Well, we have more fantastic work coming from our good friend George Alexandris, and he has made a B4. And just wait till you see all of the fun goodies here. Mike, do you know what B4 is?
No, Keith.
Well, B4 is a prototype of an android that eventually became Data. So it's Data's brother, but not his evil brother, Lore.
Mm-hmm.
This is his earlier version, B4, from Star Trek Nemesis, the last Next Generation film. And would you know that when we meet B4, he's not all together. He's in a whole mess of pieces, and we have to assemble him.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to give any Nemesis spoilers for Mike's benefit. But
as we've
yes.
learned from the Super 7 lines of figures, I love the disassembling and reassembling into different pieces of the figures. I like that.
Yeah, well, just you wait. So George says, "Happy holidays. I've attached photos of my custom B4 figure from the movie Nemesis. I used a Voyager Paris body. This figure, wait for it, Mike, has magnets installed so he can be disassembled and reassembled easily." So, boom, B4 in all of his pieces right here. I can just imagine, he says, my 12-year-old self playing with my Star Trek action figures, searching the galaxy to find B4 and put him together.
Oh.
So there are magnets in the shoulders, necks, arms, and head. He sanded down the leg pegs so they can easily pressure fit into the thigh.
So, George, what you've done here is not only there's something beautiful about the tactile nature of some toys. One of my favorites growing up was Voltron. I loved getting all the individual lines and then socketing them in. Transformers, same thing. The transforming, the tactile nature of the die cast. But I've got some of the Super 7s. Keith does too. We played with them. There's something pretty satisfying about the pop and lock sort of joints that these figures have. But as every kid knows, there's something about the magic of magnets, baby.
The click, man, the click.
The magic of the click of magnets. So this is just chef's kiss of design.
It's and work. Look how
yes.
George's paint work is always
oft heralded on the show.
Stupid flawless. And he says he also, if you notice on the back of the head, I sculpted the port that Data doesn't have. Data asked Geordi what it is in the first movie. Had a load of fun making this figure. Hope you enjoyed. Happy holidays to you and your loved ones. Look forward to watching videos in 2023. Well, you're part of it. So here is the work in progress. You can see all of the sanding and disassembly that has to happen there to put all of that together and to insert
from that
the
to
magnets.
That, like just so flawless. It's that paint work, the matte paint.
It's flawless.
We should probably link to it, like what he uses, because. Or maybe it's a chef secret. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, George, what paint do you do? Let's get an Amazon referral link and get paid.
Yeah, that's it.
But here's the fun part. George sent a video of how it is, how you put the magnets in. Just boom, it's there. It's connected. It's a magnet.
That's awesome.
Come on with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love it.
How friggin' cool is that? And the detail work, the peg for the head is silver because it would be, because we see the head. I don't know. That's cool.
You know what you know how this makes me feel, Keith?
Yep. How does it make you feel? Yeah. Wow.
Keep clicking. Come on, give it to me. Yeah.
Golly. So good, and the metallic skin of B4 there. It's so great. George, I mean, come on. He keeps outdoing himself.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
2023's got some big things in store, I can tell.
Woof. Yeah, so that is a figure. I'd pay some good money
Keith
for that
Wanty?
Keith Wanty. Keith definitely Wanty. All right. So thank you, George. Keep sending. I have a whole backlog of George's work, so we'll just keep sprinkling it in because it's always flawless. All right. So we have another I think really cool. Sometimes we do figures that are completely new figures. Sometimes they're just head swaps. Sometimes they're the 3D printed. We've never seen them like that. But we also have upgrades. And I also really like the upgraded figures where you take the Playmates line and just make it a little bit better. And that is from Graeme Goodwin here, the Big Goodbye Crusher. Now, Playmates did do this figure, but he went in and he says, just finished watching your Big Goodbye episode. I totally agree with the Dr. Crusher figure. I wanted to share a custom job I did to tweak it slightly. It's mostly just a repaint, but I cut off, wait for this, Mike, cut off and styled the hair.
I was going to say the hair is incredible.
The hair is incredible. So somehow...
Wait, he styled the original hair? So he removed the original hair and restyled that?
He cut off the original hair and redid it somehow. He says, I'm by no means an expert and just attempt customs at a hobby. Well, Mike, go forward because we have the original figure next to it.
Get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out, indeed. How did you do that?
Oh, it's so much better.
How did you sculpt that? How did you turn that hair into that hair? I don't understand.
It can't be the same, can it? It falls at a different length on her shoulder.
It might. I think it
Keith,
might
I'm
be.
Pointing at this.
just like hitting your own monitor, like it makes sense.
It sort of revitalizes the whole character.
It completely does.
And
it gets the
pink,
color right.
The update of the pink is correct.
The repaint there. I mean, because it matches. See, Playmates would just, save some bucks by reusing the Crusher head from a different figure and the hair from a different figure. But as you can see on the screenshot there, and Graeme obviously saw, that's not what her hair looked like in that episode. It was darker and it was curlier. And somehow he was able to do. All right, so I want to know, Graeme, how the heck did you sculpt that? I genuinely am baffled as to how you did that by hand. Did you?
And that's a nice little niche, man. If you're the guy who redoes the hairs, that's
hairdressing for action figures.
Because that's really, I'm not even being facetious if it read that way at all, because that is really great. And a lot of especially female characters, I feel like
shitty hair.
Have shitty hair because it's just like there's only so much you can do texture-wise with plastic. But apparently, if you spend a little time and a little detail work, you can do better.
Yeah, I'm like leaning in to see the details on it. It's amazing, and the repaint really helps too.
100%.
Yeah, so hats on, clearly, to Graeme Goodwin with some.
That wasn't good.
That was great. That was great. Internet. You are welcome for that joke. That joke was fantastic. All right. Yep. So, although you say that you are by no means an expert, I call BS on that. That's fantastic work. Graeme, keep sending them. Yeah, that's really, really fun.
Keith, can we show more patron work?
We can show more patron work with our final figure from our good friend, Chris Mitchell at CRM Customs, who has done, once again, a flawless Dr. Phlox from Enterprise. I don't remember. Have we shown an Enterprise figure yet? I think we might have shown one. But here we are. Mike, are you aware that there was a TV show called Star Trek Enterprise?
Yeah, wasn't that with my boy Scott Bakula?
That was with your boy Scott Bakula. So this was the show after Voyager, and this is Dr. Phlox. With, once again, Chris is just flawless 3D printing, custom sculpting, custom painted Dr. Phlox. And you can see there with the screenshot from the show just how flawless that is with the expression, with the smirk, which was a big part of the character there, and the sort of creature design, the forehead design. We don't have much to say about Chris's work other than, as usual, it's flawless.
It actually tips into Uncanny Valley to me. It's like it's almost photorealistic. It's just insane to me.
And I think this is. I mean, his facial sculpt gets better and better too, because you can really see the actor under all of that prosthetics there. It's really fantastic. And he's got his green sort of doctor's coat there with the pockets.
Sorry, I'm feeling wistful.
Do it.
We first met, Keith. Not when we first met. We first started learning to podcast together years ago. We did a Broadway show about musicals. And
14, 15 years ago.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about that was we kind of put a call out on the internet for just like up and coming composers who were just starting out to share some of their demo work with us. And in the 15 years subsequent to that, most of them that we featured on the show have like gone on to do great things. And that feeling of seeing work from people you know are going to blow up is it's a great feeling. And I start to get that feeling in a lot of the custom figures we start to look at. Like, you might want to stay as a hobby, you might go into this business, or you might use your 3D printing skills in something else, but you can feel like most of the artists that we feature, there is that spark there, and it's really cool. It's just such a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah. No, for sure. And, when you have this level of talent and this level of work, and Chris is a perfect example like that, that dude puts these things out constantly. Like he's putting out so much of this work. His line now is probably. How many do you have, Chris? I'm curious. Like, are you now the same size as the original Playmates line?
He's got to know. You got to have a counter. You have a spreadsheet, right, Chris?
Gotta have a spreadsheet. I might have to build you a spreadsheet if you don't have one, because the talent is one thing, but the output is just extraordinary. And Chris is working at his own company. He's working at his own job. He's designing figures for other companies professionally. So anyway, John Billingsley is the actor who plays Dr. Phlox, and you can see him in there. And I love seeing Enterprise figures because it's sad that Playmates line shut down before Enterprise came out. And there are some Enterprise figures out there, but they're just that whole show is underrepresented in Star Trek.
I remember watching the first few because I'm a huge stan of the Bacula.
Yeah. And it's one of those shows that
it's like prequel-ish though, isn't it?
It's a prequel. Yeah. It's the first ship, the first warp-capable ship that comes out. The Federation doesn't even exist in this. And it's one of those series that was not given the chance that all the rest of them did. Every Star Trek series, I think pretty much out there, takes a while to get its footing. Right? Next Gen, the first 2 seasons were bad. Right? And so, Enterprise, was it scintillating out of the box? No. But by season 3, season 4, it started getting really good, but it was too late. As opposed to when Next Gen happened, or Deep Space Nine, or Voyager, season 3 or 4, they finally got their footing and they got really cooking and they were able to complete their series. Enterprise only lasted 4 seasons. And I think had they gotten there 5, 6, 7, it would have been great. And so it was a bummer, obviously, because my family was working on it too. But I think that the show does not get the respect that it deserves. And I think Dr. Phlox is one of those great characters that definitely could have used those last 3 seasons. All right, so that is this episode of Look at My Star Trek Toys. Mike, what else do we do here on this channel?
Keith, right now we are focusing on 3 main shows. We've got this one, our Look at My Star Trek Toys, where we look at Keith's Star Trek toys and also your customs. And I'm sure this channel's this specific show will evolve as well. We also do a episode by episode review of Deep Space Nine, where we join Ben Sisko and his crew on their journey upon the space station Deep Space Nine. We do it every week. You can find that on Wednesdays when it drops. Prior to that, if you're a patron, you can watch me watch that episode along with a bunch of other goodies on our Patreon. We talked about it already. And then finally on Mondays, if for some reason Keith and I talking to one another about anything scratches the dopamine in your brain, guess what? We do it for a whole hour every Monday. Yeah. This Monday or next Monday, I don't know. I don't know where we are or what time it is or what day it is.
The time-space continuum.
We just did our New Year's resolutions. Who knows what stuff we're going to talk about in the following week? It'll probably be TV and pop culture related, but that drops on Mondays. And Keith, that's all the good stuff.
Yeah. So do us a favor, give us a like, give us a subscribe, tell a friend who might enjoy something like this. If you would like to send us your fantastic work, you can email me directly at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com. It comes straight to me. I'll get it. I am excited to read it and respond and work your fine work into our upcoming episodes. It doesn't just have to be figures. It can be photography. You can do dioramas if you want to build. If you're building play sets, send it our way. If you're a toy company and you want us to do an episode about your toy, just send it here. I'll be delighted to review your toys. So there it is. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you back here next week with a new, who knows? I haven't built it yet. Till then, this has been Look at My Star Trek Toys!